What's up guys, welcome back to Sailbase, and today we're going to start on a new project which is this dragon looking thingy. I'm not 100% sure what the actual name is because it's like all in Chinese writing and whatnot, because I bought this from TikTok shop, but I think if you search this you should be able to find it, or magic blocks. This particular set is about 30,000 pieces. I'm pretty sure that's its serial number, so if you search that as well it could probably come up on TikTok shop. But this is the box it came in. Got a bit beaten up in the process of transportation, but you know, it's just a box. All in, I'm assuming Chinese, apart from these bits. So if you want to try and translate that, you're more than welcome to. I could probably use Google Translate, but it'll not probably tell me all that much anything important. So that's the box it came in. This, for whatever reason, is the instruction sheet. So you've got the finished product here, and then obviously all your steps. And what you do in this particular one, hold on a second, let me just get in a thing. There we go. So from step 1, which is up here, where are we? You obviously start with the bottom bits. So you'll start from here, and then you do those bits first, then you obviously add these bits second. So I think this is all like the bottom bit, and then you put these bits, you follow the lines that go down, you put those bits on top of there, and so on and so on. So you start from there, work your way up to the top, and then you start, after you've finished that bit, you start from there, work your way back up to the top, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on, until you finish the whole thing. So basically you're just building it in layers. So occasionally you will have bits where you have to make something that's not directly attached to the main body, because it'll attach, like say for example it attaches to the main body down here, and like this bit over here as well. You sort of have to like build it in sections, in stages, and just sort of keep a track on like off bits and where they're supposed to sit, and then figure out where they're going to go like further in the future. So those bits up there, for instance, would end up being part of something like this down here. So this bit is just showing you where you've done before, like all the layers underneath, so you've got a reference of whereabouts you need to go to. And then you've even got like these small white bits that want to be put together. So that, for whatever reason, they put the instruction book in a big leaflet thing rather than a simple booklet like Neocol did for the Exploding Bear. And the bricks are essentially the same as the Neocol one. You've got, if it can focus, might as well pick it up actually. Where are we? There we go. You've got this like brick, but it's got these side bits on. So then obviously you can stack them, but then they also click together horizontally as well. It's a bit difficult to do. If we can get it to do it. Hold on a second. There we go. So now you've got two bits. They stack obviously vertically as well as horizontally, and any variation, to be fair with you. And then you've got ones that are like two by ones, I suppose you could call it, and then you've got 3 by ones, you know, all the different colours all the way through. All of these pots I had to buy separately because it doesn't come with pots. This one came in 6 big like see-through packets. These ones and these ones, these were all in their own like bags, but then the rest of them were in like separate bags but all mixed together, so we had to go through and sort it all manually basically. So yeah, I'm going to get a start on this into the hyperlapse thing, and I'm going to try and keep a rough idea of how many hours it takes to build, because the bear one took me about maybe 2 weeks of a couple hours every evening to build. So if you had to put a rough idea, maybe like 10 or 12 hours. That was only like, I think it was 12,000 pieces. This is supposed to be 30,000 pieces. And I don't know how long this might take, but the bear, after I finished it, I did have these spare. So there's quite a lot of them spare, so they do, you know, put in enough that you've definitely got enough pieces. You might have a couple of pieces that come in broken, but I had the same, maybe some manufacturing error or something like that. And also you get a little tiny hammer. That's the one that came with this set. This is the one that came with the Neocore set. This is for when, you know, the pieces might be a bit stubborn to go together, so they need a bit of persuasion. And then this one comes with a small bit of glue, because if you've noticed, it is quite a large piece. So you might need a little bit of glue, like maybe around the neck, maybe on some of the extra bits, or every couple of layers or so. It's up to you. They stick together fairly well, but they do get a bit top heavy. But anyway, I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to start setting up and trying to see if I can get this done. See you in a bit. and it's finished. This took about maybe 30 hours to finish. It's made up of about 30,000 pieces, give or take. It's about 3 feet tall. There's a hand for scale in case you can't quite understand. This is obviously the part that took the most time. It's a little bit weak underneath the neck because obviously it's quite, top heavy. And I've had to use a little bit of glue in some places, such as like these little knobbly bits on the feet. A little bit of like the side parts and the horns and the tippy top bits. It's so tall, it actually nearly reaches to the ring light I've got up the top. And then you've got the tail at the back. And you've got like these dragon spike things, whatever you want to call these, like to give it a bit of texture. And got like these little knobbly bits that go in between to give it some more texture, obviously. You can sort of see where the weakest part would be, which is underneath here and all around the neck, which I would recommend if you were to build this, do a little bit of glue in like a few of these layers just to give it some more strength. But you shouldn't really need glue for the whole thing. But if you want to buy this set, search Magic Blocks and then Dragon. There's different sizes, so depending on which size you want, you'll have to do a little bit of searching around on TikTok Shop. This one was around £15 to £20, I think. And then these are the pieces I've got left over. I've got some of these like darkish green ones, a few pink ones, some white ones by like some white 1x3s, 1x1s, 2x1s. Same with this one, a few black ones, a few yellow ones. I have quite a few of these 2x1s left, which is like the main part of the body. The only issues I had at the point up to this point, up to just here, is I was 6 pieces of those, but the 1x3s, so I was 6 pieces of the 1x3s short, so I had to sort of like make a workaround using the 2x1s instead of the 3x1s. And then the only manufacturing defects that we had were these 2 pieces, where we had this little bit of like unmolded, whatever you want to call this, manufacturing defect, and the same on this one as well. But other than that, we were alright. It weighs, if I had to have a guess, it probably weighs about 5 or 6 kilos, and it's about maybe 2.5 to 3 feet tall. And then obviously you've got all your instructions, 41 steps as you go through. You do it layer by layer by layer by layer. If you've seen one of these before, nothing special about the box though, just normal sort of thing like that. Inside you get 6 bags. Obviously I opened all the bags. 2 of the bags came in all just one piece, so like the bag with all these in was just a full bag of those, so they were easy to tip. The same colour 3x1s, such as these ones, they were in their own separate bag, and then all the rest of the colours were in the remaining 4 bags, so obviously it took about 2 days to sort through all those. Obviously the pots I bought separately. But yeah, if you want to buy this one from TikTok Shop, it's about, well, they range from about £5 odd to sometimes up to £15 to £20, depending on what size you want. But as far as I can tell, this is the biggest size that they do. And it is a monster. It took, like I said, about 30-35 hours to finish. 3 hours at a time every evening for, I would say, about 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, I started it just before 2025 Christmas, but then obviously Christmas rolled around, so then I did the I put this to the side for the time being, and I did the train, which is just over here. That's just hiding out of the way. But yeah, I would recommend for someone who likes these kind of things, get yourself one of these. There's all different kinds as well. There's like pink ones, there's like a Fire Arctic Fox type of thing. What else is there? There's quite a lot of different sized ones, different designs, different detailed ones. But if you really like these kind of like miniature brick type things, I would recommend getting one of these. I've also done Exploding Bear by Neocol as well, if you want to check that out in a previous video. And I've also seen on Facebook, I think it's called Teddy Blocks. I've seen they're doing these kind of things as well. They at the minute, as far as I can tell, just do the bears, like the Exploding Bear, but theirs is called, I think theirs is called Splat Bear. It's just basically the same design as the Exploding Bear from Neocol. But it's up to you where you want to go. But I would recommend, if you want to buy these, go TikTok shop, do a bit of searching around. Again, Magic Blocks Dragon, look for this particular one, and then have a little read of the description to make sure the size that you want is the size that you're going to get. Because obviously some of them are only one size, some of them are only like 3,000 something pieces, so maybe this big. This one is the biggest that I could find, which is, if I remember correctly, about 36,000 pieces, something like that. I'm not entirely sure, because it took me that long to build it. I can't remember. But yeah, it's a very good build. I would say about 3 feet tall, maybe 2.5 to 3 feet tall. But yeah, I would recommend getting one of these. It took the absolute biscuit, but it's worth it in the end. It's a very good, I won't say challenging as such. The challenging part was just, there's so many layers to it, it feels a bit monotonous at times. But yes, definitely go get yourself one of these. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and please stay tuned for what I post next. Bye bye.